Hello and welcome to the SC Playbook podcast, proudly brought to you by Pat and George from Morgan's Choice SCW. I'm your host, Tim Williams. We're back for NRL Supercoach Round 18, and I've got a very chipper Supercoach spy with me. Not chipper because his team's flying as such, but chipper because he brought in Shaun Johnson last week, panicking that he was going to put the mocker on him, injure him, and ruin it for him. But not only did he not break him, Spy, but he punched out another ton.
He saved my ass, I'll tell you that. SJ Friday night. It's not really about Supercoach, is it? It's about Shaun Johnson and the Warriors marching towards the title in 2023. I was going to go get myself. I've never owned a Shaun Johnson Warriors jersey. I'm going to go get one this week for the potty. I didn't get time, but next week, I know if anyone out there knows where I can get a player's replica jersey, like the ones that fit perfect, shout out, please, because I'm getting SJ on the back straight out to Peter Wins.
Go back and get the, I think it's the 2011 one, the white and black strip with SJ on it as a young buck. I reckon that's the jersey.
Yeah. I'll just run around the streets throwing no-look Scotty Princes past Cooper Cronk like the prelim final. Sorry, guys, back into it. I am fired up. I do, sport-wise, I'm so excited about the Warriors and SJ. And I did end up bringing him Friday Arvo after a chat with NRL Physio, my mate. And, I actually called him when SJ scored. I'm like, I've met him for a couple of beers at Magic Round. We've exchanged some texts, and I just straight on the blower to him. And he's just laughing at me. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I had to call when he scored.
Did you just say exchange some texts?
Some texts, not with an S.
I was asking some texts. The only bloke I've heard say that in my life is Ricky Stewart. So you're there with him now.
I was meant to say texts. Apparently I can't say that word. Supercoach-wise, I was flying early. So I had the VC on him as well. 112, you ripper. And then it still just ended up a bad week. It's like nothing is happening this year for me. And I've gone back and had a look at it just to make sure I wasn't bugger anything too much up. I'm pretty happy with everything I've done to date. I had a little note, it was very viable that I could have owned DWZ, who we'll get to, Chansey and Gutho last weekend. Very viable. I ended up having none of them. Normally you might own 3, 2 or 1 of them. Somehow I ended up with 0. They all went off. I've still got Eli Katoa there, not playing. I brought in Reece Walsh just as an attack move after Shaun Johnson.
That had ton written all over it.
Yeah, so I made the SJ move. I'm like, I'll get on the attack, get on the ascendancy here. So I bought Reece in for Hosking, ended up losing 25 points and probably wasting a trade.
Got on the attack with Clem. Yeah. 22 points. Did you? Oh, no, you had the VC. Clem skipped it for 22
poor
points.
Clem skipped him. And you know what? If the ref genuinely thought he was saying that to him, he must have been a little bit in doubt because he probably would have got sent off.
I know, I thought the exact same. Anyway, we'll find out about that tonight. The hearing for Reece Walsh tonight so for anyone that did bring him in, if he does end up getting a few weeks of that and becomes a sell, that'll be a real dagger. Also with us tonight, obviously just the two of us on the bar this week, so we're calling back in from the other doldrums. Matty the Waterboy. Matty, how are you, mate?
Timmy, how are you? I actually brought in SJ a couple of weeks ago for Croker's 300th game. So that's probably the only positive that's gone on with my team in the last month. But I'm glad
making Supercoach look easy.
I'm glad that we're going to start. I'll open with that one. But yeah, unfortunately for me, my team the last couple of weeks I had an absolute shocker last week. Put it that way. I had Reece Walsh as my captain. I'd Cody Walker. I just had a lot of players that all my pods just were shit, basically.
Put it this way, mate. As a bloke over-invested in Bunny's players as their number one fan, it just wasn't the week for Supercoach.
It was not the week for Supercoach for South at all. So, yeah, look, not a good week, but again, I'll hang my head on the Shaun Johnson thing.
That's right. It's a good call.
Just quickly, I also, VC hadn't have been on Shawnee, Walshy would have been my captain. So I got away with a bit of murder there.
A win there.
It could have been worse. It was a mixed style weekend, but yeah.
For the Mighty Kuma Stallions, 1,171 points. I thought, Spy, that I was going to see some green arrows with that. I thought it was a really good score, sort of doing the Sunday night, check across 3 or 4 leagues, looking across some good coaches there to sort of work out roughly what par's going to be. I thought it was pretty good. Dropped 500 spots. So
yeah, I think we underestimated how many people own Chansey for a start.
Yeah.
It was a lot. and there's just a smattering of people with your DWZs, and like you get those sort of scores, and yet you ain't catching them that round.
Yeah, so 30 down to 3300th overall, so still not in a bad spot, but sort of been saying for about 4 or 5, 6 weeks now, just meandering around that 2,000 to 3,000 mark, and can't seem to get away, get higher than it, I suppose. So a little drop, but still not too badly poised. Definitely need to get on the attack if we're going to be looking at any sort of top 100 finishes, Spy, but well set up, plenty of time to go, so we move on and look to NRL Supercoach Round 18. This week's show, key takes from Team List Tuesday. A pretty generous team list day, far better than last week for us. Our topic for the show is going to be our long-term trade plan. You're one of the best, most in-depth, critical planners that I know in Supercoach circles. We'll have a chat about who we're looking at getting back into our team post-origin period, how we're going to do that, all the important questions there. The hot topics, do we go now on camera Munster? Do we wait until after the origin period? Our round 18 trade and skipper plans, and then our listener questions. Guys, SC Playbook subscription package, 10 rounds left of the season. Subscription price drop, full package is down to $40 for the BBL, AFL and NRL seasons. NRL package down to $30 for the rest of the NRL season. It gives you access to extra premium articles each and every single week on the website, access to a subscriber-only WhatsApp chat, late mail, team advice, contributor-only yarns, our updated trades, all through that, Q&A podcast questions, stacks on there. To do so, head to scplaybook.com.au and find the subscription tab in our menu. Spy, get stuck into the team list, and Murata Niakora out for 3 weeks due to suspension. Brings into contention one of your boys. Now, Murata was facing 3 to 4 weeks. He ended up, I think, taking the 3-week ban. It brings Josh Curran into the starting side at $410K. Now, not a buy probably for this week with a 105 break even and just wanting to see minute, but with the Warriors playing round 19, the third major buy-in, I should say, like Curran, we know what his scoring upside is when he plays 80 minutes. So if he does can't play 80 minutes this week, scores well, drops that break even, it might just be a game too short, Niakora being out.
Yeah, probably the issue with Joshy Curran is he might look juicy next week, but it just depends if you want to get stuck with someone in the mid-300s, I guess, moving forward when Niakora does come back. So there's a bit of risk there. There is upside,
I think if you're doing it, you'd be hoping that he puts a few scores on across 3 games. Not anything big, but to go 500 plus, then you could trade him. But yeah, I said just a game short of that 80-minute roll.
Yeah, reassess next week, but unfortunately so.
Spy, a dagger for you. Still no Eli Katoa from that cut on the eye, whatever that was. So a real dagger for those who held on to him. I unfortunately sold him a few weeks back. Nelson Solomona named on the edge again, where he played 75 minutes last week for 90 points. Nas is the one that just teases, and he always tempts. You always get questions around him, but he's never been Supercoach relevant because he can never string good scores together. But I don't think it's him not stringing the scores together. I think it's that Bellyache prefers not to play him in big minutes. So, look, if he stayed on the... I think at a start on the Blake Potty yesterday, I think in games he's played over 50-odd minutes this year, the Storm are 5 from 5 and pretty comfortably. If he's kept that edge roll where he's been pretty dominant, like he could be Supercoach elite, but just never manages to back it up.
He's super tempting, isn't he? I mean, you've got Eli Katoa, due back hopefully soon enough. He probably comes into the right edge. I've always been an advocate of the big fella on an edge. I just think he's so damaging. You can still use him in the middle as you need, but we just don't know what's going to happen, so it makes it really tricky to buy him, unfortunately.
Yeah, keep an eye on him though. See what he does this week on the edge and his minutes. And then following Melbourne's bye next weekend, if he gets named on the edge when Eli Katoa's back, keep an eye on him, but I don't think so. At Penrith, their Origin stars return. Shout out to Tyrone Peachey last week. He's been just one of my buys of the season, the Peach, and watching over a few scoos last Saturday night, scored a double, set one up, over 100 points. He's up to about 550K. The gift that keeps on giving. Zach Hosking also came in and started on a week where we all probably needed numbers. Both back to the extended bench now with Penrith, I should say, Origin stars back. Their sells whenever it suits your team. Yeah,
just on the Peach, I was chatting to you earlier in the week, but I had a quick look. I always look through the playbook because as much as I want you guys to do well, I still want to beat you myself. We're all competitors. And I'm like, how'd Tim put 60 or 70 on me this week? I was sort of going okay. Didn't think he killed it. I had a look. There was one matchup that decided. It was Peaches 105 versus Walshy's 22. That's the difference. If that goes the other way around, I bet you by 80, and it just shows how fickle a game it can be, but how quickly it can turn. So, well done. One up there on me, and we'll roll on into
What did you score,
the next
Spy?
one. Literally 60 less than you. So whatever you got, I got 60 less.
1170.
Yeah.
The week wasn't that bad, mate.
About 1100.
Being a bit dramatic.
Yeah.
Moving on. But yes, I do think they can be moved on anytime soon. Canelli Lemuelu has been benched again for the Dolphins. I sold him off last week. Jeremy Marshall-King's lots of questions around him. He's named to return from injury. I think you just hold Marshall-King. And Lemuelu, I think you were an owner and you held through last week.
Yeah. Don't feel great about it, but 55 on the edge. He did come on, and played straight through, which is okay. He looks a little bit bigger than he did earlier in the season. I don't know if he's carrying something potentially.
On some shade at poor old Lemuelu.
I love him, but I mean a little bit bigger in terms of not fat shaming him, but physically he's not moving as well laterally.
Hope Canelli doesn't listen to this podcast.
Hope he does. Fire up, big fella. No, I'm a huge fan. There's a reason I bought and held you. His footwork doesn't seem to be what it was earlier in the season. So I don't know if that's an injury-related thing or what's going on, but that was cause for concern because if he's playing his 55-60 with how damaging he's been, it doesn't worry me as much. But if he's not going to be breaking the line like he has been, it sort of puts him in a bit of a tricky hold position. But they got the bye next week. I'm just going to ride it and see where we land with that.
As in they play the bye next week.
Sorry, they play
So you're going to hold through the bye round?
I think I have to now. I'm 1 week away. And then you know what? His dual position, I'll probably just hold him on the back row / centre bench for the rest of the year and hope he returns to some bigger minutes. But it's tricky. I just don't know if there's...
How are you set up for round 19? Because my numbers look pretty good. I've already got 12 or 13 for it. Do you need to carry him through it or not? Because I think he's a sell.
He's my 13th, but what I don't want to do is use trades to get him out and then get someone else in.
Get his 30 or 40 next week, but not burn a trade to get someone for that game.
Exactly. Burn a trade for that. It's more around trades than anything. If I had 20 trades spare, I'd sell him for sure, and I'd get someone else in, but you're going to get someone in for the buy, then you might have to sell them after. I just don't like messing around too much with trades. He could come out and score 70 next week and be magic. So, yeah, it's a bit frustrating, but it is what it is this point of the season. You got to pick your battles a little bit.
Rajab starts over Oluwapu for the Doggies in the halves. Can you get a look at him there this week in his first, I believe, starting role in the NRL? Dane Gagai out for the night to blow for any pod hunters who did jump on Gagai. Ruben Garrick remains at fullback for Manly. Big win there. I mean, we sort of suspected he would, but good to have it confirmed. As Manly welcome back Gerbo, Burbo, Saab, Parker, Tuolangi. So don't panic on Garrick or any Manly players. We will get to Garrick a little bit later, but they've got a lot of players coming back from that side for a home game this week. Joseph Suaalii, Spy, back on the wing, 394k. Sandon Smith has been goal kicking. Suaalii might goal kick now. He was kicking obviously before he was suspended. Averaged 56 points on the wing last year. The wing's his spot in both NRL and in Supercoach. Look, Roos have the bye next week, so you probably wait a week on him, but, oh, God, he's cheap for what we know he can do.
And he's still probably outside Manu, isn't he? Right edge, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Goal kicking. The way I sort of see it, without having thought it deeply through, 56 last year, Roosters are struggling. Maybe that goes back to like 40, 45, but then he goal kicks.
Yeah.
So straight away, you're back to that 55 average already. Tempting.
I know it's a big if, but if the Roosters can hit a bit of form again, you're picking up like at 394k. The lack of major buy-in coverage is the issue, but gee, it could pay off.
And look, if Manu's back at right centre now, he could be the key there. So,
Matty, I'll throw to you. Joseph Suaalii back on the wing this week. How do you see that? Do you like the transition going back from centre to wing, or where do you like him best?
I think it's an absolute no-brainer. I think it was all well and good for everyone, including me, to say at the start of the year, he's an absolute freak, put him at centre, but it just didn't seem to work for him, really. I think putting him back on the wing is the way to go.
Supercoach output-wise, more runs you'd think, hopefully it's more tackle bust at a pretty dirt cheap price. Do you see him as a buy, or are the Roosters just way too unconvincing at the moment? Also, I know he was outside Joey Manu for the majority of last year when he scored well, but Manu is glue hands. Like, he doesn't like to pass the ball.
Yeah, 100%. It's a tough one because we know what he can do, but I don't, the way he's played this year, I don't trust him to get back to his best. And more importantly, I don't trust the Roosters to get out of this form slump. It's been this form slump for 18 weeks now. So, yeah, I'd probably be steering clear.
He looks like a bit like a bloke going to union, doesn't he?
He looks like a bloke with $1.6 million ready to come straight at him. Yeah.
I might vouch for Matty because he is a South fan, so I don't know if you can truly trust what he says about the Chooks.
That's a really good call.
But you're right. Yeah. It's not a form slump.
Correct, yeah.
They're not playing good
Yeah,
footy.
you got to get to a point where you stop calling it a form slump.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I'm not even looking at Suaalii this weekend. If he looks really good on return, it's
round
a
20
situation.
after the bye.
Yeah,
correct.
maybe for the run home.
Agreed. Still on the Roosters, Nafahu White, 300 grand, negative break even, named to start on the edge. Angus Crichton, Egan Butcher, both out. Crichton, a more lengthy injury. Egan Butcher, I believe, was a concussion, may only miss a week there. Victor Bradley named on the edge as well. I probably wouldn't get sucked into a trap here. Nat Butcher named on the extended bench. I'd expect Nat, if he doesn't come in this week, then we'll wait for the Roosters next game. Come back in on an edge. Egan Butcher probably comes back in on an edge. So White would have to lock in a starting role there. And look, if it happens, happy to be proven wrong, but it seems logical to me.
Bit of trap city there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Could happen, but yeah, risky.
Could happen, but unlikely.
I'm not risking a trade on that.
Spy, it's about it for team news today, which is a nice, easy one for us. Let's get on to our long-term trade plan, and we get so many questions about people asking, what are you doing on the run home, and what are you doing? Who are the must-haves that you need to get back in post-origin or that you want to? You know, how many trades you're going to need to facilitate this? And it's best just to knock it off in one topic. What are our plans? We've both gone through it this week, namely the players that we want to get back in and how we're situated. So I'll start with you, mate, and let's start with who are the must-have players that you need to get back into your team.
Can I actually talk you straight through my plans?
You can do whatever you like.
So I've written it down. Spent a little bit of time Saturday Arvo. It's Supercoach gets a little bit harder with a 3-year-old, but I put Spider-Man on. I'm like, mate, I need an hour.
just give me an hour, mate.
I don't know how I'm going to get these blokes back in. This is what I've come up with. I'll talk you through my plans, and I'm left with a conundrum, which a lot of people will be. So round 20, Damien Cook out, Harry Grant in. The reason for that, I'd actually prefer to hold Cook and not waste a trade to Harry, but he's got to buy round 20. So if you don't have hooker coverage, you're going to need something there. See us have another
Who's
buy
your
later.
hooker?
Sonny.
Oh, You're still on this. A lot of Sonny owners still out there haven't been able to get rid of him.
So I am, and I don't see how I'm feasibly going to get rid of him. So basically, Harry comes back in round 20. I need him to play the year out. There's every chance he does, but if an injury hits, I'll reassess.
Can you not
at the
just
time.
flip Sonny? Like, I don't get me wrong. I know that's not as easy.
You're about to find out why I can't flip Sonny. Because I want everyone else.
Okay, go.
I could.
Yeah.
But it derails this plan.
Yeah.
Got 190k in the bank exactly, right? Now.
How many trades do you have left?
Oh, sorry, 13. 13 in hand, 190k
Before
in
this
the
week?
bank. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Got Reece Walsh back last weekend, so I've got him and Buller at fullback. Cook to Harry is about an even money trade, 190k in the bank still. Round 20, that's my first trade. Second trade, and this could change. You can sort of flip who you want to do in the rounds, but SJ to Cleary, probably need about 60k to do that, unless SJ just keeps going bananas. Hopefully it does. But I'll sort of bank on him not going totally nuts because I don't want to, bank on money I don't have. Leaves me 130k spare and 11 trades. Sweet, happy days. Round 21. And again, these players can change a little bit depending on form and injuries.
Whenever we do these long-term plans, don't start critiquing when it changes in 4 weeks' time. Like, injuries happen, origin stuff happens.
But in order to figure it out,
things change. But it is a guide to get blokes back into your team.
Yep. I have to pick someone to trade out as a plan. So Preston to Fafita. I'd need about 200k for that. Leaves me 70k short. And the same week, I really want to get Schuster up to Munster. That's another 270k, so I'm 340k short and 9 trays. So straight away you go, how are you going to do that? Like, well, you've got a boost in hand, well played. I've thought about this. That's where your boost comes in really handy. You can downgrade someone who you don't need.
Told you that 18 rounds ago, mate.
Yeah, but luckily I'm ahead of the game. I don't need trades in the next 2 weeks. I'm not planning to.
Burn through your boost, they all said.
I'm going to do my downgrade early. Before Origin or in round 19, I'm going to do my downgrade. So the way I see it, I'm going to have to either download a couple of winners, downgrade Kepi for 200k, just to enough. I don't really have any enough, so that's how I do it. Or this is where Eli Katoa now comes in. I'm probably just going to go Eli Katoa straight down to enough at 200k, free up that sort of 350, 400k for now.
I think at some point with the amount of people need to get back in, everyone's going to have to trade a 600k player to enough to get that 400k whack.
Yep. And that's probably how I'll do it. I'd prefer to do it in one because it's just one trade then.
Of course, yeah.
If everything then goes to plan, I should be able to get all 4 of those guys back in just in the budget. From there, Buller to Latrell, but that's a long way away. Latrell's still got to come back, look good. Let's see what Buller's worth. I'm going to hold him. That leaves me 8 trades. So that cash is tight. Now, what I could do early is Schuster to Munster. I've got it penciled in for round 21, but I might look at that now and say, if I'm already downgrading Katoa this week, maybe I'll just get Munster back now. Just make it happen. Free up the trades post-origin. Give me an extra number this week. Get rid of Schuster. Go from there. But in short, that's what I'm looking at. So I'm pretty tight with that Katoa downgrade. With 8 trades, probably not much cash, but in a pretty good spot. Tino and Haas are the ones that miss out for me. I've got a pretty good front row in like Tohu Harris, Tarpany and Corey Horsburgh. And there are trades left to try and get them back in, but you've got to prioritise who you want because it might not happen with injuries. So it's kind of the rough plan, mate, of how I'm looking. And the conundrum is, how am I going to get that cash when I want to go for Feeder, Munster, these guys?
So you should have your final team with about 7 or 8 trades left, did you say?
If I take out...
Near enough, your final team.
About 8, yep, which is pretty good, I think.
And by what round?
About end of round 21-ish. Pending Latrell, he's kind of on the weight market, but round 21. So here's the issue, and you're not going to have it if you've got boost, but I can get those 4 guys in over rounds 20 and 21. But if you need to downgrade someone in that period as well, you're going to have to wait an extra week on the guns, and the season's getting shorter. You want them as long as possible. So I think have a look into round 19. If you're not using 3 trades, which I'm thinking most of us probably aren't, just have a little look. If someone's sitting there and you can do it a week early, just get rid of them, free the funds,
just to get that cash.
Be ready to roll. That's when not having a boost, you can get around.
Well, I sort of pulled the trigger on that in the last couple of weeks. To be fair, it was for Feeder, who I need to get back, but I'm going into this week with 14 trades and 350k in the bank. So it's a bit of a war chest.
Yep.
And we'll get to him a bit more in detail soon. But Cameron Munster, who for the same reason, I have concerns around him as a buy, but I'm also like, he's a season keeper. Happy to get him in.
Yep.
He'll miss next week due to Origin and then hopefully backs up. But it's the Saturday game again after Origin 3. So could miss 2 weeks in a row. But at the end of the day, he's one trade. He's there for the season.
You've done it. And just on that, like, this might come across as a joke with Munster in terms of him getting on the drink, but they've had their celebration to end Origin.
For sure. If he hadn't rested yet, if he didn't rest last week, I'd be a little bit like a bit of a concern. But because he had last week off, I would feel better about bringing him in this week because there's far more chance that he backs up.
Yeah. He doesn't have to go out the game after Origin 3 the night after and get right amongst it. They've had their celebration, so I suspect he'll play that round.
As in, like, good luck telling him not to, but they'll try.
We'll dust him up in game 3, nothing to celebrate, surely.
So I've got... There's 4.5 players that I would like to really get back in, and they are Nathan Cleary, Dave Fafita, Cameron Munster, and then one of Tino or Haas.
Yep.
So I currently have Tohu and Tohu in the front row with Joe Tarpany. I have Samuel Fainu and Frank the Tank Pele still there. Amazing. So the dual position updates came in. Fainu, I mean, it was going to happen, but a good reminder, Fainu got the dual 2RF front row forward.
Yep.
So Fainu doesn't play again this season, seemingly on the outer with Manly after being a starting back row about 3 weeks. So it sounds like potentially he's leaving the club. Things are going on now. Not even in the extended squad this week. Mm-hmm. Becomes that enough because he's got the dual front row, second row forward, which is probably the enough position I would have, not probably, if I was bringing enough later on the season, it would have been 2RF front row forward.
Yep.
So ideal. So, yeah, because I've only got 2 quality front rowers, I'll need to bring in one back up to those guys. Tohu Harris has a bye later on in the season. Yep. You know, injuries happen, things happen. So it'll be between Tino and Haas. Lean slightly towards preferring Tino, but he's also substantially more expensive. So around about round 20, round 2021, I'll look to bring in one of those two and then have a 3 gun forwards to rotate between 2 or 3 of them, maybe play all 3 of them.
Beautiful.
And then Cam Munster, who spoke about. So I only really need 4 blokes back in my team, and then I'm really happy. Throw in there Cameron Murray, who's 460k. He'll miss round 19 to Origin. Had the buy in round 20. Hopefully back fit and fine for round 21 at about 450, 460k.
Yeah.
So if you've got a 650k player, you'll be able to downgrade him and free up cash and get what I believe to be a keeper.
Be beautiful.
So he's handy on there. So the 4 that I need to get in, the 4 that we'll be going for them guys over time will be Moses, Peachy, Hosking and Crossland. Billy Smith as well at some stage. One of them will probably be enough downgrade to free up some cash.
Yep.
So the way I'm sitting, essentially, 4 players I want in, I should be able to do it because I've got a 350k war chest at the moment in 5 trades. It might take 6, as I said, depending on how things play out, but depending on what Dave Fafita does this week, he's still got a 150 break even. So if he can just not go ballistic for me, he'll drop a fair
big
bit.
fella.
So that'd leave me 9 trades and my team set up with essentially every one I want from about round 2021. More conservatively, adding in injuries and things that change. Hopefully have everyone I want by about round 22 for the final 6 rounds with about 7 trades in store. But should be entirely happy with my team and, very happy.
Yeah, I don't want any less trades, really, unnecessary trades and what I'm keeping up my sleeve because I do want them. But in saying that, it's all a little bit relative. If I am struggling a bit more than I want to be, I might attack more and just go, you know what, I'm going less trades, I'm coming harder. You can do that as well. So we'll just see how it all plays out. Worth noting, Raiders, I think, also had the buy around 20. So anyone like myself who's carrying Corey Horsburgh and Tarpany, no front rowers. So that's where someone like Kepi, the gift that keeps on giving, I'll just need to play him again that week. And then someone like Kepi or Billy Smith, they can be a downgrade to enough or a 200k person, afterwards if needed. You don't have to get rid of them. Like if Billy's not going that well or Kepi's not going that well, you don't have to be like, let's get rid of him. You don't have to play him.
The bloke who is still playing and going, I won't say Billy Smith's going half all right, but he's a starter in a side that if they sort any of their shit can score out. We've seen him score out in the season. Can be very valuable in the back end of the season.
That's it. And worth noting what he just on Billy, he based 43 on the weekend and no attacking stats. It's not bad going for a centre.
Just can't jag an attacking stat.
Yeah, the Chuggy's just in all sorts at the moment, so we'll see what happens there.
Okay, so a bit of planning there. We'll be sure to obviously talk about that more and more as the season goes on. Guys, over the next 12 months, an estimated 60% of all fixed-rate mortgages are going to expire. This means that for a lot of you out there, you know what, I've been reading this for about a month. So it must be over the next 11 months now that they're going to expire, I reckon.
Surely.
I'll get Pat and George to update that one for us. This means that for a lot of you out there, you haven't felt the impacts of all the consecutive rate rises that have been dominating the media talk lately. I have chatted with them about it in detail. They've told me that the clients still have a rate with a 1 or a 2 in front of it. The average rate is now around 5%. What does this mean? Basically, that for a lot of people out there, their mortgage repayments are about to increase on average by an extra $737 a month. A lot of extra money to have to find in your budget. Pretty, can be grim times for a few people out there. If you haven't had a look at when your fixed rate expires, or if you're worried about when it does, give the experts, Paddy and George, a call so they can get you on the best rate possible and keep more money in your pockets to put less stress on your finances. You'll save $129 on a free consult because you're an SC Playbook listener. So if you're getting in contact with them, make sure you mention SC Playbook to get that one. To do so, flick them a message on Instagram at PatandGeorge_SCW. They have changed their handle there, a bit shorter for the listeners. PatandGeorge_SCW, or call 02 9521 1611 today. Otherwise, all those details plus emails are in the articles at scplaybook.com.au. Spy, hot topics for the week. The most traded in players, a bloke we just touched on, Cameron Munster, 666k. Now, ordinarily, I would say I don't think he's a buy this week because the break-even's 56. He plays the best team in the competition in the Penrith Panthers. It is in Melbourne. It helps a bit, but still. And then he won't play next week due to Origin. Melbourne are on the buy anyway.
Yep.
And then the following week, we just spoke about it, but, there's still a chance that he rests. It doesn't look at the best buy, but I feel like there's also not a lot of great buys this week.
Yeah.
So he's a bloke that as we look down the track and we're running out of trades, he's a keeper for the end of the season. He's well priced. Like, I know in my case, I'm eyeing off this as a potential trade, and I've got Phoenix Cross in there who I'm like, I just don't need there. It's the most obvious trade in my team. What do you think?
I'm a bit similar with Schuster sitting there. or Eli Katoa, I could go to him. And as I said before, the key to doing it now is it doesn't look like the most obvious trade. It seems like a wait and see, but you can clear that logjam of what you need to do post-Origin and get ahead of the game a little bit.
Instead of having 4 players to get in post-Origin, I'll straight away have 3.
Exactly. And in fairness, Munster against anyone in Melbourne, I know Penrith are incredible, but it's still a good number to have this weekend. You'd back him in to go.
His last 3 scores against Penrith, I don't have it in front of me, but I think 1 was at Suncorp, must have been Magic Round, and then 2 were in Penrith. And I think he averaged about 70-odd.
Incredible.
Like
he
loves it. He might have been more.
He loves big games, and he had last weekend off. Pretty happy with that. Just totally off topic as well, going back to earlier in the show, but I said before how much I've got the shits a bit about where I'm coming. Supercoach is all relative. Like, I've set my standards that I want to finish, top 100, top 500, win it, whatever. Other people might not. Other people might be in their early seasons, and you might be coming 20, 30,000. That could be a bloody good result for you. I know I do AFL and I'm coming about 30,000 and I'm stoked because that's not what I do. So don't ever listen to people when they say, oh, I'm not doing well because I'm this. And you might go, geez, I'm not even close to that. Like, it's all relative to you and the standards you set. I just want to go really, really well.
Aim the bar high. So, mate, you're a
exactly.
91st place finisher, I think it was 2 years ago. So why not aim high?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. So I want to better it. So let's go.
I'll throw one at you, Spy, and it's all this, all the chat, largely from myself, that myself and let's be fair, most super coaches out there, you need Nathan Cleary and Nicho Hynes for the run home. They're your halfbacks. Don't think twice about it. Get them in. But you look at some of the form of Sean Johnson and Mitchell Moses.
Yeah.
Like, Sean Johnson has, getting his numbers up here, but...
Ton.
3 tons on the trot. The Warriors they play next week. They have the buy-in round 22. From round 23 onwards, they have a tremendous draw, really soft draw. Add in Mitchy Moses there, who has something like 4 tons in his last 5 games or something like that, with the one low outlier score. Maybe that's not the case. Like, them 2 boys are going nuts.
I think we'll get a free look at Cleary the week he's back. His
SJ 3-round average of 119.
Yeah, keep it going, son. My concern is, and an attacking move could be to go Nath first round back if it's against like the Dolphins or the Doggies around that period.
The Dolphins are post-Origin, which I reckon it looms potentially as that one.
But you can get a week. You can have another look at Shawnee or Mitch, whoever it may be, and see how Nath looks. His price may drop. My concern is if you're running a Shawnee or a Mitch and they score 25 in, let's just say, round 23, hypothetically.
Yeah.
I can see them scoring a 25, and the bloke you don't have, Hynes or Cleary, scores 200 and it totally ruins you. Whereas I don't see it going the other way around.
Like Nicho and Cleary don't really punch out 25-30.
They don't. Like, of course they're capable of it, but SJ and Mitch are absolutely capable of it. Cleary and Mitch could Cleary and Hynes could destroy you in a single week, I feel. That's my concern.
Yeah. I mean, the beauty of it is we've got a few weeks to watch it play out.
Yeah.
They both should have games before Cleary comes back. I think most people, probably Cleary came back from hammy, may want to wait and see a week. But as I said, if it's a Dolphins or someone, the play could be much like Nico at the start of the year when he went nuts first came back from injury.
Yeah, I might learn my lesson there.
Yeah, correct. I'll be with you.
In saying that, when SJ goes ton again, 6 in a row on track for a Supercoach record, we'll reassess at the time.
And that's the point. It's just that I still think Nicho and Cleary will be the 2 for the run home, but it's just not quite as cut and dry as it once was.
Yeah, which is good.
Great thing. Like, you throw in that, fullbacks wide open, hookers, maybe not wide open. Harry's still probably the man for the job, but your second hooker, like, it's a really exciting year of Supercoach.
Cook's not far off Harry, if not better at the moment, in my opinion, Supercoach-wise. Just those buys hurt him. Like, it's wide open, isn't it? It's good. It's really good.
Both. Spy. David Feeder, 858k, break-even 149, 120 on the weekend. Boy, did the big fella make us sellers. I won't say doubters because he didn't surprise, but he made us sellers pay because...
They did.
Yeah, he did end up losing 40 or 50k or something. It might have been a tick less, and there's still the high break-even. The hope was just that after playing 33 minutes after Origin 1 that he might back up with Fury again, but he played the full 80 and went on a tear. I'm not convinced still that he's a buy this week. I don't say it confidently, but huge break even. So if, and it's a big if for a bloke who's got, 4 or 5 tons on the trot, if he can go essentially sub 100 and drops a stack more cash, misses round 19 due to Origin, what if he does play a limited minutes and goes to the bench?
And they could flip it again. Tino could come back and play.
Like
his
Tino didn't
70.
play last week.
Like they could just be rotating him. So, yeah, I think it's a little bit of a scary watch. If you want to get attacking, and it's something I will run my eye over, don't hate him as a buy. But I think at this stage I'll probably just hold off and, but Raiders running it smelly at Whitehead, actually. He'll do a job on him.
Whitehead and Jamal. I was hoping it was going to be Jack on him, and Jack would just go unts.
No, Elliot will just get the pommy angst out and just chop him all day.
Yeah. So, look, I'm going to wait. If he gets named to start after Origin 3, that'll be round 20. I'll get him back in that week. If he gets benched that week, or obviously doesn't play ideally, I'll get him back the following week.
And look, that if he is to drop 50, 100K before then, it could come in very handy, as we've just seen. So you can probably punt on that a little bit.
Number 6, mate, Jack Howarth, the Nuff. So we're in the midst of Nuff season, aren't we? They start coming onto the radar.
Yep.
Some Pelicans out there looking at Nuffs from about round 4 onwards, but we are getting to the time where, as you said, Spy, people are looking to free up some cash, and Nuff is essentially a bottom dollar player, ideally speaking, with dual position status that you can manoeuvre around your team. I love having a front row forward, second row forward, Nuff in there. Basically to free up cash for trades elsewhere. And Jack Howarth, number 6 most traded in, people going this week. What are your thoughts?
I'd prefer to try and find someone that could play next weekend and then drop out. That is a question, though. If anyone out there has got some ideas at their club, they might come in and do a job, especially maybe like a starting centre or something that could punch out 60, 70. I prefer that, and they drop out after that. Otherwise, your second best option is getting a dual position player, whether it be, I think you just check your side and see what you mostly need, whether it be second row centre. For me, I need a front row. So I do drop Eli Katoa back down to enough. I need a front row 2RF dual. Yeah. Because then all my currently of like Tarpany, Tohu Harris, Horsburgh, they're all stuck in the front row at the moment. Brings me that flip option. So I'll probably do that. I think it's team dependent. But if I can think of someone that might play next weekend, it could be handy.
Yeah, well, I mean, the big one will be when team lists come out next week and we see who gets named.
Oh, easy next week, but I mean, if you have to do it, if you have to do it now, yeah.
But I agree. I'd be trying to find enough who will have a run next week.
It's got to be someone out there.
We'll find someone.
Miles Martin, maybe look at Newcastle.
Number 7, Spy. Nothing has given me greater pleasure than to see you earmark Dallin Watene-Zelezniak as a buy, to have your suggestion shot down by every Supercoach on the planet. Him to back up with 4 scores on the trot of 128, 85, 29, 175 since saying it, 720K, and for you not to buy him. The only bloke who got more pleasure out of it than me was Weekly Wrap co-writer Nicholas Moon.
Yeah, there's a difference between top 100 seasons and not, and it's decisions like those. Admittedly, I did get a Sarko that weekend, so up until last weekend, I was like, sweet as, and then last weekend he put a hungy on him, so I couldn't believe it. The edge is humming. Yeah, Shawnee's playing well. Has certainly exceeded expectations though.
Is it too late? Does this continue at 720K? It's a lot of.
I'm way too stubborn to go now. Not in a million years would I do that. In saying
what about for those that aren't stubborn?
Not stubborn. Yeah, I think you could buy him. I mean, he's humming. Shawnee's humming. The Warriors are humming. So I just hate jumping on after missing all those scores unless you think he's going to keep it up. He
for a bloke with a really poor Supercoach
with his history, it's risky.
In saying that, you look at what this Warriors side are dishing out right now.
It's a new side.
And he was at the Warriors for a few years there when they were struggling. He was at the Bulldogs who were really struggling. He's a winger. Wingers don't score well in poor teams.
You need space, don't you? Yeah.
Who just runs over the top of people. Yeah. So it is a different
I'm not counting him out. I just personally can't do it.
I wouldn't, but can see why. The 13th most traded in his teammate, Charles Nickel-Klukstad, 762K, 3-round average of 110, 5-round average of 94. I just think playing fullback with that dual seated up fullback status, of the two, if I was getting one, I would go Chance ahead of DWZ.
I'd prefer Chance as well. again, it's very expensive. Like, if you're going to pay up for him, you're going to find it's going to be very hard to get in these guns after Origin. Yeah. So I feel like it's a bit of a miss the boat situation. You've got to hope now that they don't go too well on your side.
I'll tell you what as well, I said that the next 3 to 4 weeks, the opposition's not ridiculous, but tough enough. I believe they have it in no particular order, like Parramatta, the Sharks, the Raiders, some tough enough, and the Rabbitohs.
Yeah, Rabbits this week.
Yeah, some tough enough games there. But the round 22 bye, and then they come out for that head-to-head finals gun draw. Maybe that's the time to target them, hopefully at a reduced rate. But with the big score in their 3-round average, they might not get too much cheaper. So
I haven't had a full catch-up on the bloke potty just yet. Can we throw to Matty with South? What's the story defensively? They'll fix it up soon or what? What are you thinking?
Well, I hope so. But as I mentioned on the bloke pod, South were conceding 13 points a game from rounds 1 to 11. Yeah. Since then, it's been 32. That's a remarkable plummet. So... I mean, I don't know. I don't know where it comes from because, like, South had Latrell and Jairo out last week. Latrell doesn't stop 6 tries going in and Jairo's one player. So we know they can do it. It's just a matter of when's it going to click for them.
When is the question, isn't it? I think it's definitely going to happen. They'll be thereabouts come finals time. But is it this weekend? Is it 3 weeks? As an SJ owner, hopefully not this weekend. But, yeah, looking forward to that game Friday. Should be good.
I tip the Warriors, actually, only because... It's tough to have a 5-day... South have a 5-day turnaround going into New Zealand. The game was sold out 5 days in advance. It just screams Warriors to me. Yeah,
Matty was stoked with the scheduling yesterday when we had a chat about it.
Gee, I can't wait for it though.
Friday night's going to be mad. It's got that game straight into Melbourne, Penrith.
Yeah, crack it.
Feet up, let's do it.
Spy Scotty Drinkwater. Holy mackerel. I'm no one that I say I got super close to buying because I didn't, but early on the season, I think I did maybe the final word article whilst might have been off for a week and said super pod at like 0% ownership, Scotty Drinkwater. He's got a 5-round average of 110, break even of 63. Like, we talk about roller coaster with him because he had that 1-point game back in round 2 against Brisbane. But since then, I think his low score has been 44.
And last year he did the same.
Yeah, which there's nothing roller coaster about that. And the thing about Drinkwater is, firstly, he's been doing that in a really poor Cowboys outfit this season who seemingly have turned a massive corner. They've got troops back. But if he does punch out a 20, I feel like he's just as likely to get 120 the week after and just balances out with him.
Just roll with it. So
at 892k, talk about the ship sailing, but he's the 8th most traded in player in a fullback position that has now lost Tom Trbojevic. Latrell Mitchell's not due back till about round 21. How does he come back? Wide open. We had a good chat about that last week, but Scotty Drinkwater, like...
If you just forgot the money for a moment, I'd say get on. Just because the only reason I wasn't on Scotty, which is a bit frustrating because he's probably my second favourite player in the comp behind SJ. So I'm always... a tendency to go for the guys that you really want to see do well. It's because he got that one and the Cowboys weren't playing great footy, so I couldn't justify it at the time. We know he's capable, but he has exceeded above expectations. His running game, like, I love it. He's a small fella, but he's just running so powerfully and just through the line. Not trying to dance around people, he's going through the line, and he did it last year, started it last year. I love it. But at 900k,
big
crikey.
price.
In saying all that, couldn't go near him now. But I mean, if for some reason you're stacked with cash and you've had a little look at your plan and you're happy you can get everyone in with Scotty Drinkwater, go for it. But it's going to be hard.
Spy one that's pricked my interest. Brendan Piakura. Jordan Ricky's out long term, 6 to 8 weeks. Not a massive impact on him, but Tom Flegler's also out for a bit of a stint. Piakura, who Kurt Cable's out for a couple of weeks as well, he might have locked in an 80-minute role on the edge for Brisbane anyway. As far as I'm concerned, that orbit assures him an 80-minute edge role with the Brisbane Broncos, one of the best teams in the NRL. He's at 289k with a -3 break even. Looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, what have I written down here? Where is he?
So, looking at him, his numbers in a small sample size haven't been great. Like, He played 80 minutes on the weekend, scored 48, only had 36 in base, which for an 80-minute back rower is not good. Yep. And his games prior to that, his base also quite ordinary, but minutes were limited. So round 13, 52 minutes, he scored 15 points with 17 in base. Round 14, 51 minutes, 30 points, 24 in base. Like, I don't think we can expect to get a big work rate back row in, but at the price, money to be made, great role, great club, attacking upside. He looks pretty good.
He scored 50 in 28 minutes in round 15. So he's got some attacking.
There's a lot of attacking stats.
Yeah,
like he
but that's what he's capable of that, though, we've seen. So, yeah, I think it's all team dependent. For me, do I want to use a trade to pair Cura? What's he at the moment, did you say? What
289K.
289.
Neg 3 break even. So you also probably don't want to wait much further past this week.
This is where planning can hurt sometimes, because I've just looked up that I need 400k spare.
Yeah.
So I sort of want to go Eli Katoa down to someone 200 to maximise that, but then you go for 80k more. You get Per Cura in, he'll make some money. He's a viable play option at stages.
In that instance, scrap your enough shit and get a starting edge 80-minute back rower for the Brisbane Broncos. I know 80 to 90k is important, but...
And then in 3 weeks, he's hopefully worth another 130. Then you nuff him down. So
he could kill it and keep that status off the rest of the season.
Exactly. So, yeah, for me, huge option and one to look at for me for Eli Katoa, for sure.
I own, and a lot of people out there own at least one of Zach Hosking or Tyrone Peachy. I've still got them both in the back row. So... very, very sneaky little buy. Most traded out players by Josh Schuster. I also flicked him last week. Very happy to part ways with him in the Supercoach terms.
I think he's got points in him, the shoe, but very hard to trust.
400k, break even 68, dropped 30-odd K last week. Might have been a bit more. You just can't play him with any confidence. He'll have his decent scores.
Oh, you can't, but you might not have to play him. You might just be on your bench, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jareem Buller. Fourth most traded out player, 711k, break even 100. I'm an owner. Why in the world would you be traded in this week if you held through last week's buy?
Definitely hold.
I guess people are looking at maybe Drinky.
Maybe drinks.
But
Buller's also coming off 200 or 300, so at 200k cheaper than Drinky, plays the buy next week.
And
definite
around 20,
hold
which
for me.
will always be a little bit tricky as well.
For sure, and he's just gone, I think, ton.
Ton. And then he had a
45 against Melbourne.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's going to happen.
I just don't see why you'd be trading this week if you held
for me, let's see how he goes. Young kid, he might keep pressing on. Plays next week. Could ton up in the major buy round. Definitely hold, guys.
I'm holding him this week. Obviously, round 19. Pending, unless he has like genuine stinkers, probably round 20 as well with players out. But if numbers look okay, then maybe trade there and just work out which fullback I want in.
Yeah, he could. It's probably less than likely, but he could end up a fullback keeper if Carnage ensues and you just keep him there. Like, it's not out of the question.
That's the thing. Sure, Appy and Brooks are out for the time being, but it's not ideal for him. But he also could get far more involved in attack. So we'll see. Spy, my other fullback, James Tedesco, number 6 most traded out player, 707k. It's a tough one because, look, if Latrell's fit and Tommy Turbo's fit, you're going, all right, well, they're the blokes you want in your team ahead of Teddy at the moment because he didn't look great in the weekend, hasn't looked great in Origin, but prior to the 32 on the weekend, where it wasn't a great game, he scored 66 against Penrith in a well-beaten side before that and had back-to-back 118s the weeks before that. So the bye next round, I think I'm going to give him this week against Manly at Brookie. Hold on to him there, reassess. He does have a break-even of 138. I can see why people would be selling this week. I just don't really know who to. As I said, it's close to 200k to go up to Drinky.
If you've got a good trade for him that does form part of some plans, I don't mind it.
Who's your good trade for him?
Oh, man, don't forget that you've got plenty of centres who are available at
if you want to flip Garrick or someone down.
So I've been doing that a little bit the last few weeks.
Yeah.
You might be able to get a centre in, a back rower in, so there's options. The price tag is what's scary in terms of break even. If he punches out 40 again, he loses another 80, 90, which hurts. But Manly not going all that well themselves. He could be just as well come out and score 80 to a ton. So I think it's a real tricky one for owners, to be honest.
It is a tricky one.
Yeah.
And what makes it trickier is, for my side, if I had 17 comfortable guns this week, I can flip Teddy. But, like, I own 3 Parramatta players. So, like, guns who are sitting out of my side this week. So, it doesn't make it easy.
But I'm certainly... I don't own him, so hard to say, but I'd lean towards trade if you can and if you've got a decent option. Don't just do it willy-nilly.
Yeah.
If there's a decent option, I'd say go for it.
I'm leaning towards hold because, like I said, if it was maybe like I could get a back row or something for him, but my CT dub's pretty stacked at the moment. I just
Could go, like, if you don't own Mulatalo, for example.
Yeah.
Ahead of, like, they've got Saints this week. Then they play the bye round next week. Teddy to Mulatalo, Garrick to the back makes sense to me.
Yeah,
like
play that maybe. So Eddie's a tough one. I'm leaning towards holding, and but I'm a firm believer in Teddy. Matty, throw to you quickly, mate. Tedesco, Supercoach wise, his form outside of last week, it had been pretty good. You know, the thing about Teddy is NRL form doesn't necessarily have to entirely translate to Supercoach points. Do you think he can rediscover his Supercoach gold, or do you think it's just cut ties with him because his form hasn't been great? Roosters are trash at the moment.
Unfortunately for Teddy, his form seems to be actually getting worse. Like that game against Canberra was, I'd probably say easily his worst of the season, up there with the Penrith game, and it's just he's played with so much confidence his whole career. It just seems like he doesn't have that at the moment. So, whilst that kind of decline is happening, I probably wouldn't be going anywhere near it.
Yes, the head says sell, the heart says give the big boy another week, but still. Spy, number 7, Reece Walsh. He'll be probably doing his hearing as we record right now. You're an owner, mate. What are your plans with him around the result? Obviously, he had a stinker last week, but if he's cleared, you just stick strong with him. Give us some time frames around weeks out that you'd be selling.
Yeah, desperate to hold given sort of, trades starting to run low once we get the big boys back in.
I kind of want to buy Reece Walsh, to be honest.
Yeah, he's cheap. The issue is if you sell him now, he's sort of not at great value after a couple of quiet weeks.
If Walsh gets cleared, 630k is cheap. I could go Teddy to Walsh.
It's a great buy, I reckon.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so see what happens there. For me, anything 1 to 2 games, I'll definitely be holding. Like, no doubt about it. If we're talking 4+, had a quick look, then your jaw's starting to get skinny towards the back end of the
4+
year.
is a long time.
There is a buy in there. I mean, it keeps happening. I keep having to sell guns. I don't really want to sell all of them, but I mean, if I'm selling him, he won't be coming back in, I guess. So it's just one trade.
Yeah.
So probably that 3 to 4 mark, I'll be questioning
Looking
things.
like sell.
Yeah.
Ruben Garrick, 779k, break even 172. In that loss, heavy defeat to Melbourne, he got shifted to fullback, scored early to mid 60s. He had 20 runs, 7 tackle breaks, couple of offloads. As I said before, Manly had a stack of players back. His dual position, which you said before, has been it's been because fullback hasn't been lock and load. You need 2-gun fullbacks as such this year, like we haven't seen for a number of years. It's been very handy being able to shift him to fullback at times. I know for a lot of coaches. I know he's got the massive break even, but I think at fullback, provided he keeps a spot, he's a season keeper, isn't he?
I've got 2 ways of looking at this. One, he averaged 76 last year at fullback. He also carried a hit pointer through about 2 or 3 weeks there. He was a bit unders and scored some 40s.
Yeah, I think he potentially didn't even kick goals for a period there because of it.
I can't remember, but yeah, it was a little bit of a question mark, but he's got plenty of tons in him. He looks so fit and healthy at the moment, so he's just going to be so busy like the weekend. Attacking stats will come, so I can't see why he can't average more than 76 based on last year and maybe push that 80. So as soon as I went through that, I was like, it's pretty hard to sell him. You could pot him at that price.
You could.
His break-even's massive. And then
if he goes 40-40, not only do you get the dud scores out, but you also bank 150, 200k.
A lot of cash. So, like, if you were to, not necessarily Nuff Garrick, but say you went to Peakura or Mulatalo for 200k, any of those sort of guys, it's a lot of money. I just think he's really reliable, and you'll probably find you're a bit short in the centres if you do sell him. I had a little look at that anti-pod play, the Savo, and I was just a little bit question mark on how my centres then looked. He's just such a rock in that position.
It's a luxury trade.
Yeah, it's a real luxury trade. If you really want to take a punt, maybe it comes off, but the beauty of Garrick is his work rate with tackle busts, offloads and goal kicking doesn't have to do much to score
60s last week without a major attacking stat down in Melbourne in the side that got pumped with half their team out.
You're not relying on attack, so yeah. Saying that he's a hold, but if you want to be real aggressive, maybe there's a chance there at the current price.
Spy mentioned Sean Johnson, his form earlier. Mitch Moses, 12th most sold player, 840k. I'm an owner. Parramatta on the bye this week. He's passed 6 scores. 118, 89, 95, 130, 17 and 147. You don't sell that, do you? Like, if he doesn't get picked for Origin next week, like they could easily go Nick up 7 for the Blues.
They definitely could.
Like Mitchy Moses, you've got a gun. He's probably your captain next week.
And then he plays Titans round 20, so hold for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. There was some talk about maybe going to an SJ and riding that price rise in the next 2 weeks where you know he's playing. I don't hate that logic at all.
Yeah, but Mitch Moses has the same price rise.
Shawnee will play definitely the next 3 games.
Yeah.
Mitch might play one.
Yeah.
Mitch could play one or none. So
I see that, yeah.
Yep.
But still no. And lucky last, number 14, most traded out player, Alex Johnston, 616k, break even 133. Firstly, great antipod opportunity. I do see it. But I also think the Bunnies come good. He plays next week. Sure, he'll drop a bit of cash, but I think worst case with Alex Johnston, he's a pick on matchup game for the rest of the season as a 5th CT dub. Worst case.
I love him as that 5th option where you just plug him in.
If they're playing Penrith in Penrith or something or whatever their hardest game is, just sit him.
Yeah, he does have 2 buys in 20 and 26, but yeah, I'm not against a sell if you've got something you want to do there. For example, again, I brought up Mulatalo a bit, but if you want to go AJ to Mulatalo because you've got no one else, I think that's fine. But he's a pretty good hold as well. Latrell will be back. South will fly home. I'm just so confident in that, so yeah.
Guys, the better SC Playbook special this week. Valentine Holmes, 50-plus official fantasy points into a Scott Drinkwater try at $3.50. The only place, the only bookie you'll find offering fantasy NRL markets. Excuse me. Link to that market is in our YouTube description or across our social channels. We'll be out there on the social channels tomorrow, I should say. So if you are interested, please use those links to let Better know that we sent you. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Spy, round 18 trades and skippers, mate. Hit me.
Trade's interesting, as I've sort of mentioned it throughout. I'm not quite sure how I'll approach it, but something around Eli Katoa looks the most likely option. Could just be him down to Piakura. And then Schuster to Munster could be on. Just get ahead of that logjam post-origin. They're both in the plans, so I'm not doing extra trades. I'm just doing them a little bit earlier than I probably would have. So have a look around that. I've just noted Fafita here as someone I could look at against Canberra. I probably won't go there. Munster looks the most likely. Or I could do nothing as well. We'll sort of reassess, but that's sort of where my head's at the moment. Skipper-wise, 1 billion% Nico Hines. Not even questioning that. Like, people get real caught up in this Thursday captain thing. Like, at the end of the day, you pick your captain who's going to score the most points. The only reason I don't like captaining someone Thursday is because if he goes poorly, it ruins your weekend. It's got nothing to do with tactics in Supercoach. I
like that it's Thursday night this week, so we'll hopefully get a few people off.
Yeah, so if you're clipping this up, don't captain him Thursday because it's the first game. No jokes. For me, straight C. Keen as.
I'm eyeing a potential move of Phoenix Crossland to Cameron Munster. Pardon me. And as a second trade, I'm also in a position where I potentially don't trade. I think I'll use one, but as it stands, if I do the Crossland and Munster trade, I still don't have a back rower, so I could flip like someone like Billy Smith at CT Darba and move Peach down just for the week and get Piakura in that way and have another back rower. But because I've got back rowers on the bye, I am short. So, but looking at Crossland and Munster, Hosking or Peachy to Piakura, what that'll do is I'll probably use one trade next week, pending, anything bad, something going amiss.
Yep.
But hopefully in one trade next week, and it'll leave me, as it stands, still about 400k in the bank, and a boost to make some big plays around 20, around 21.
Come out swinging.
Yeah, and skipper, I'm with you, mate. Nico Hines, I'm not overthinking it.
Could be a massacre. Gee, I hope so. I want 2 things in Supercoach this week. Nico, 200 and 300. 200 for Nico and a Connolly Lemuelu line break. I don't care about 8 minutes. I just want to see a line break from the big fella. Back to his best after I knocked him. Sorry, mate.
So this starts the following week.
And just back to his best.
Spy, a few questions before we wrap it up. First one from Julian Aguilera. Says he's dead in his head-to-head comp. He's 40k rank overall. What are some spicy trades I can make to make the last few rounds enjoyable? I mean, my only advice to Julian would be that, set your sights on get your black book out for 2024. Have some fun with the rest of this season. Go for those 1%ers that can hit 150 on the day, then big ones that no one owns, and just throw the book at it. Have a bit of fun.
Yeah, I'm mates with Jules, actually. Don't know if you know that. So we'll have a chat, mate, before Friday and see if we can come up with something spicy. But maybe save it for next week when I've got more time. We'll come up with an absolute whirlwind trade or two for the run home. But surely, are you a mathematical chance? That's going to be my first question to you, because if you can still make it, don't
In
give up
head-to-head,
just yet. Yeah.
surely can't be that grim. There's a fair way to go.
It's been a tough year for him, I know that. Yeah.
Question from Shay Jordan. What are the two best fullbacks for the run home, and when is Matty Ryan coming on? Look, we've spoken about part one of it. Matty Ryan, he's had a couple of games against Leo Messi, rates himself a bit. Now, instead of coming home in his off-season break from the Socceroos, I think he's brushed us for New York or somewhere, some big trip. And so the period that we're going to get on for the potty is just, got better things to do, Spy.
Yeah, it's what I see. He's been to the World Cup, a few clean sheets. He's ahead of me again. Not by much. I'm still coming. I'll just have to finish the year in front of him.
Matty's going good this year.
Yeah, maybe I'm not going too bad then.
Maybe you're not going too bad.
I'm about 150.
Matty's going well.
He's going well, real well.
Need him on the podcast.
So, no, while I was in front, he's dead to me. So just enjoy New York, mate. And no doubt we're talking before the weekend. Fullbacks? Probably whoever you've got at the moment. Let's just ride through Origin.
We've spoken about fullbacks. I just want to have a crack.
I've written down. So did I.
He's, if he's back here at any stage, we'll get him on. Don't worry about that. Question from Anthony. Are we sleepy on Will Kennedy? Woeful Dragons and Tigers next couple of weeks, then a great run home. With the elite fullbacks dropping out, seems like a solid option to lock in for the rest of the season. I mean, it's a fair shout in the fact that the Sharkies have completed their buys, as have the Titans. I don't think there's anyone else who has. The Doggies may have completed all their buys. Anyway, Will Kennedy, we know he's got some upside, rock solid scorer. I don't know if he maybe has the ceiling of some of the other options available, but we've just said that we struggle to make a case for a lot. What do you think?
It's actually a fair shout. He's averaging 70.
Yeah.
Sharks are flying, especially in matchups they win easily, which they've got
they're
a
not
few
flying. They're flying in soft.
Supercoach was.
Yeah,
Supercoach here. He's got 106, 96, 99, 98 this year. So essentially 4 tons. Good enough for me. That's pretty good. Plays the bye next week. Saints this week. Actually, it's not a bad shout. If Reece does go down, maybe I'll take a flyer on Will Kennedy.
Will Kennedy. Not for me, but I can
probably not run home though.
I can see the case you're making.
Yeah, I mean probably more short term, but yeah.
Question from Arn Nguyen. Drinky or CNK? If you had to pick one.
Drinky at 900. I just don't know how you can afford it.
CNK is like, 760 as well, though. So you're paying
140k less. Drinky, because I love him.
I think because they're both so overpriced at the moment that I'd nearly go Drinky of the two. Find that extra bit of cash.
If you're going hard, Drinky.
Yeah. Question from Lyle Lord is Nick Meaney to Ronaldo Mulitalo luxury or a smart move? Spy, I think we both Mulitalo owners. Quite happy about it. Love him for the upside of those games we mentioned previously, but Nick Meaney hasn't done much wrong this season. Melbourne won well last weekend. Meaney, unfortunately for anyone who brought in, Guru captained him, and he's got about 40 points. Just couldn't find the attacking stats, but I don't think Nick Meaney's done anything to suggest that he's a trade.
Yeah, I'd like Mulitalo this week if you don't own him. Ideally, you'd go someone else to Mulitalo if you can.
It's a real luxury trade, as he mentioned in the question.
But he has Saints in the round 19. They play the major bye. That's 2 pretty key matchups. Therefore, I actually don't hate it if that's your only avenue to Mulitalo.
NRL Supercoach GPT, either of Ramian or Sione Katoa a solid enough buy over Mulitalo. Obviously, looking at the price point there, both players who have averaged well in the past. Look, they're definite options because they're a fair bit cheaper than Mulitalo. I think they're about 100 to 150k cheaper. I just think the Shark, last year their attack was so balanced both sides. It still is. But this year, there's a lot more focus on the left edge, which is quite dominant. So I would still pay up the extra for Mulitalo.
I definitely would. But out of the two, if you need that cheaper option, probably Ramian at 450 is very reasonable price.
Yeah, he's sneaky. He's sneaky. All right, NRL Finsider. Payne Haas versus Adam Fonua-Blake. I wanted Haas, but AFB has comparable numbers and plays more over the next month for 30k more. Thoughts on AFB? Round 22 NZ bye can go up to Haas. I mean, I think firstly, if you're getting AFB over Haas now, you probably just stick by it. I don't know if you'd need to do it round 22. But it's a fair shout. AFB hasn't put a foot wrong, and we're all talking Tino and Haas. What about AFB?
Yeah, again, plays next weekend, round 19. Huge. I think the Broncos have a couple of buys for the run home, do they? Let me just quickly check that one, because if they do...
The Broncos?
Yeah.
2 more.
19 and... runs around round 19, though. You know you're knocking Haas for that.
Yeah.
Couple of extra games. I don't hate it. I still probably prefer Haas if you can cover round 19, but yeah, not totally.
I prefer
against it.
Haas. Yeah, agreed. If you can cover 19, but AFB keeps punching out massive numbers.
And if it's an extra number for you next week, I don't mind it at all.
Question from Jeff Fletcher. Dear Timothy, is Sonny Luke worth enough just to get rid of the AE? I'll take this one because you spoke about it before your situation, Spy. But I think if you can get another hooker in, gun hooker, even just quality hooker to partner, whether it's Damien Cook or Harry Grant. I think Harry Cook's your man. Get Harry Grant in. Doesn't have to be this week, but even like from after Origin 3, so around 20. Because if your hooker goes down at any point and you're stuck with Sonny Luke or enough, you're stuffed. So I just think you need to try to run a two-pronged combo and attack there. And they're both obviously very playable at number 9.
Well, I think the reason I want to go to Harry with his run home of no buys from round 20 and just keep Sonny there is if Harry does go down, I'd have to use a trade. That's why I'm keeping trades up the sleeve for situations like that. Otherwise, I'd just use all my trades. I wouldn't need them. So I think I don't mind that. I just, Reed Money or someone's quite cheap, plays the buy. So it's not going to throw you out too much. I just don't want to do it and then go, can't afford Fafita and Munster in round 21. I can't get them. Like, that would hurt so much more than just having Sonny as a pain in the bum on the bench there, who could drop out anyway. He hasn't played every game. Yeah.
Spy, might wrap that one up for the SC Playbook round. What are we? Round 18 podcast. Mate, I'm having a bit of a spell the next 2 weeks. Going on a little mid-season holiday. Recharge the batteries. Been podcasting, so I think the start of last cricket season in about October. So
busy, man. Timo's buy period. Are you a hold or a sell over the period, do you think?
I'm absolutely a hold, mate. I'm top dollar, but I'm a hold.
Yeah, right. No, you enjoy that, mate. We'll,
if you sell me, it'll be like, I'll do what Dave Fafita did to me. But, mate, I'll be leaving it in capable hands. All the SC Playbook content is going to be, as per program, beers and break-evens. SC Playbook podcast will be hosted by Maxi Bryden, Supercoach Gunn. He's hosted the podcast before in my absence. Absolute legend. You'll be on the potty. We'll have other people on. So as per program, all the articles on site were the same as. So nothing will change. Just won't be my voice, which, to be honest, mate, would be probably a pretty welcome for our listeners.
That's it, mate. No, you enjoy the holiday. We'll hold the fort and reassemble in a couple of weeks.
Happy days.
Enjoy the trip.
I will be doing the listener question and answer podcast from overseas. So making sure to get the thoughts, the trades, all that sort of stuff in there. So happy days. Anyway, guys, good luck this weekend. Cheers for listening.
It's noticed Kepi's been dropped. There you go.